right. Man, it's a beautiful day today. Starting to get those fall mornings nice and cool. This is going to be Goose's favorite time of year. Things cool down a little bit. They're not so hot. Could actually take her out for longer than an hour. What do you see? What did you see up there? Was it a squirrel? She saw something. I tell you, she could be a little goofball sometimes. It's pretty funny. Goose is a goofball. I guess I'll just wait till people show up. I hadn't really. How you doing? I hadn't really. I had a topic last night, and I don't remember what it was. Don't remember what it was. See if anybody shows up. You know, it's Sunday fun day. So, you know, people may be out enjoying themselves, relaxing, family stuff. I'll take Goose to see my folks later tonight. She loves going over there. Looks like she's got to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I think she's got to go to the bathroom. Yep, never mind. Give her a minute. Give her a little privacy. Not anywhere special today, just walking around the neighborhood. I think we'll go back to downtown soon, though. That stream yesterday was probably my favorite stream we've done so far. Loved it. What you? What? You want to be a goofball? You want to be? I tell you, when she gets to be a goofball, it's so hilarious. She starts running around. Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's funny too. I don't know why she wants to go in the park. It's like you have all the freedom you could ever want, but for some reason, I don't know. She likes going in there. I usually don't go in there unless, say, like, oh, she got to go again. Unless Grizzy's staying with us, then I'll take him to the park. You know, but other than that, there's really no reason to bring Goose into the park. You know, it's like I don't need her in a fenced-in area. Are you done now? Are you done now? Are you done now? You little goofball. Are you done now? Oh, that wasn't nothing. Appreciate everybody showing up. We're not anywhere special today. We're just walking around town. If anybody missed the live stream yesterday, I took Goose downtown. Probably my favorite stream so far. Come on, let's go. You know, we were off-leash. Busy downtown area. Cars. Cops. Dogs. A lot of action. And we were just doing this. She did great. She'd never been downtown before. I've taken her so many places. Oh, you gotta go again? Jesus. Yeah, I guess you gotta get it all out, right? Appreciate everybody showing up. Goose is going to the bathroom. Just giving her a little privacy here. Okay, you done? You done? Anybody has anything they need help with, and you got any questions? I don't even see anything, girl. Must have been some kind of liquid or something. Hey. But you know what I love? I've said this, I think, every live stream. What I love about the live streams is you can't hide nothing. There's no editing. No bullshit. You know? You can't make it look good if it isn't good. it's just kind of like this is the reality, you know. I'd like to see more people do live streams with their dogs. The only live streams I see people do are just talk in front of a camera, you know? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Do I? Hi, Gabor. Do I like? I like both. I mean, I don't know if I could really choose. I love pizza and pasta. They're kind of in the same family, right? You know. But yeah, I don't know. I could do either. Depends on the pizza, though, right? Right. I figured maybe you'd agree. What you doing, girl? See, where I live, there's a lot of really, you know, it's nice trails over here. And we got this lake. This beautiful lake down here. We got this little fire pit over here. You can light a fire and hang out. We got the pool over here. Looks like there was a chica, little nice looking chica hanging out there. Jay, you see, we got the. They say you can kayak on it. I don't know. I mean, they got the dock there, but I never see anyone out there doing it. So I don't know if they still allow that or not. There's a fire pit. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like those old school amphitheaters, you know. Yeah, it's a nice little place to live. I like living here. Appreciate everybody showing up. Anybody has any questions or need help with anything, more than welcome to ask. I had something I wanted to talk about last night, and I can't even remember what it was, but if anybody's new to my channel, I'm not a dog trainer. I do behavioral work. I make the distinction on my channel that training is skill-based, and actually I think that's what I wanted to talk about, because if you look up the definition of the word training, right, it specifically discusses skills, learning skills, right? Specific skills, or, you know, ways of doing things. And to me, if you have a dog with behavioral issues, training skills is not the right course of action. So behavioral work is, you know, behavioral issues are of a social nature. That's an issue with the relationship dynamic between dog and owner. Now, sometimes you adopt a dog and they have issues, you know, so whoever had them previously didn't do the work necessary to build the right relationship with that dog, and so it just kind of spirals out of control over time. You know, those dogs, unfortunately, the dog always gets blamed. Unfortunately, the dogs get brought back to the shelters, get returned, you know, and the dog really never gets a fair chance. Now, of course, you know, when you adopt a dog, like nobody really wants to deal with like serious aggression issues or anything like that. I wouldn't blame anybody for taking a dog in and you discover that the dog has some serious issues and you just don't want to go down there. I wouldn't blame anybody for that. You know, especially since there are a lot of great dogs in shelters that may have some issues, but they're easily fixable. So, and there's so many of them. There's so many of them out there. And of course, there's always the issues of breeding. There's always people, there's too much breeding. So there's just too many dogs, right? You can't keep up. I remember I watched for anybody who doesn't know, the reason I got my first 2 dogs, I watched a documentary like 16 years ago called Earthlings. And the documentary, it was actually narrated by Joaquin Phoenix, but it was about the 5 areas in which we exploit animals. And one of the sections in that documentary was talking about companionship. And I'll never forget it. The video clips they showed showed dogs being gassed to death. Shelters that euthanize that way. And it showed landfills, like literal landfills being filled up with dead dog bodies. Or, dead dogs that were just euthanized. I mean, they literally had like construction equipment, like big, I don't know what you call them, but the construction equipment they used to like pick up huge amounts of dirt and stuff, and they were using those to pick up huge piles of dead dogs and just dumping them in the landfill. And so that's the shit that you don't see, But I saw that, and there's one line in that documentary that stuck with me, and it was, Joaquin Phoenix had said, if we're gonna bring dogs or any animal into our lives, into our homes, then you can go ahead. Can we meet the needs of that animal the right way? Yeah. How you doing? And so that line always kind of stuck with me. Like, if we're going to take dogs into our homes, can we truly meet their needs? And if not, then we don't have any business doing it. And so when I got my first 2 dogs, it wasn't about me. It was about, what can I do to help these dogs? That was the mindset I had when I first adopted Kaylee. Kaylee was my first dog. I met her in the shelter, and I actually, I had my heart set on another dog, but that dog got adopted. So somebody I worked with knew I was looking, and they said, "Hey, Kevin, you should check out this dog." Show me a picture of it. And it was Kaylee, and actually I was like, okay, I'll keep that in mind. But I wasn't sold on it, So I actually went to meet her. And when I first met Kaylee, I used to work with adults with developmental disabilities, so I was working with an individual with Down syndrome named Dan. Me and Dan went to the Humane Society to meet Kaylee. How you doing? And the first time I met her, they had a meeting room. We went in there, and Kaylee was just shaking uncontrollably with fear, And even though she wasn't really the dog that I had kind of had my heart set on. Ooh, sorry about that phone call. She's the one I ended up going with, because I said to myself, you know what? Maybe I can help this dog. Come on, girl. Let's go. And 6 months later, I got Bruno. And you want to talk about a crash course in understanding dog. At that time, I was like obsessively watching episodes of, because one thing me and Dan used to do, we used to go to the local library. And back then, you go to the library and rent DVDs and whatever. So we'd go to the library, and I'd rent every season of Dog Whisperer they had. So I was just in my time off, I was just obsessively watching Dog Whisper. And that was back when, you know, the internet, YouTube was still kind of young, but you could still find some kind of dog related stuff on there. So that's when I discovered Brandon Fouché back in the day. So really it was Brandon Fouché and Cesar Millan. I just started watching them. And Brandon Fouché, it took me a while to really understand what Brandon was doing. You really got to spend some time with Brandon's stuff to get it. Well, even Caesar stuff too. You really got to study Caesar to understand, you know, the intricacies, the nuances of what he does, you know. But after that, it was just kind of like trial and error. I was just experimenting on my own dogs. And I discovered that I was really good at it. So I started working on, you know, my friend had a couple dogs. I would borrow his dogs. They'd come stay with me. We were going to the dog parks twice a day. I was taking Kaylee and Bruno twice a day to the dog parks. I made business cards. And I would just go out there and, you know, since I was there so much, you know, I got to know the regulars, and so just went there and talked to people and hung out, handed out my cards, and I started getting clients that way. Now back then, it didn't feel like I had a right to really be charging people a lot of money. So I was literally charging $20 an hour. Just getting my feet wet. And it all just kind of went from there. But I don't know. I always felt like it was just something I was meant to do. Right, Goose? What do you think, girlfriend? Appreciate everybody showing up. If anybody has any questions, need help with anything, got an issue with your dog, feel free to ask. Love just chatting with you. If anybody just wants to chat, you know, we had a really good talk with a few people yesterday. If anybody hasn't seen the live stream yesterday, I took Goose to a busy downtown Plainfield yesterday. There was a lot going on, and we were off leash. It was the first time she'd been down there. She did so well. It's probably my favorite live stream we've done. I'm trying to do more. I'd like to do more live streams of just this, you know, just showing people, like, you know, rather than, the thing I love about the live streams is you can't edit anything. There's no fancy editing. There's no hiding anything. There's no bullshit. There's no selling people an idea of how things, or how you want them to see things. It's just kind of, this is what it is. You know, when you're live, it's like anything can happen, especially when you get a dog off leash. So there's no bullshitting anybody. And so I really like the live streams for that reason. You know, and I don't really see any other dog related channels doing live streams with their dogs, you know, and I'd like to see more of that. Maybe we could start a trend here, you know. You know, it's great people do live streams and they sit in front of a camera and talk and answer questions. I mean, that's great, but it's like, if you have your own dog and you are giving people advice, I don't know, it seems logical to me that you would take your dog out, do live streams with the dog, and show people the results with your own dog, right? But I do find it interesting. I don't see there aren't a lot of dog related channels, people that offer advice or charge people money. Like, you don't see their own personal dogs all that much, and I always found that a bit curious. Like, there's one individual who he puts his own personal dog behind a fucking membership paywall. Like, you kidding me? Come on, girl, let's go this way. Like, how are you gonna charge people money for services? You're gonna put all these videos out here criticizing everybody else, but then you put your own personal dog behind a paywall. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Come on, girl. Come here. Oh, you hear that? I hear that too. I don't know what the fuck that is. You hear that? You hear that? What is that? I don't know what that is. That sounds weird. Okay, let's go this way then. Come on. Some kind of high-pitched noise over there. I don't know what that is. But she clearly don't like it. It's odd. Okay. Come on, sweetheart. Let's go. Appreciate everybody showing up. It's a beautiful Sunday. We're starting to get those chilly fall mornings creeping in. But it's nice because it's not so hot, and it's, you know, Goose can't do heat too much, so this is, or she doesn't handle the heat very well, so this is a perfect temperature. We could probably take a longer walk. But actually, anybody's new to my channel, I actually just did a video yesterday. There was if anybody feeds their dog kinetic performance dog food, there was a dog who recently died from eating it. And they say that the bag was 2 months expired. However, they don't think that's why the dog died. So they're having the food tested for contamination. Now, what's interesting, though, is there's no recall. The FDA has not been notified. And apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently if the manufacturer is not actually the one liable for the incident, then it doesn't get reported to the FDA, and there's no recall issue. So the manufacturer is saying, oh, it's the distributor or the supplier's fault. So, you know, there hasn't really been, there's not a lot of information in the news because there's no recall about it. So no, there's not a lot of people that know about it. So just to make you aware, if and I never heard of the dog food before, but I guess it's for like performance dogs, you know, athletes. But if you feed your dog kinetic food, I would check the expiration date. But like I said, they suspect that maybe it was contaminated. Now, personally, I don't think feeding your dog any kind of kibble is good. It's not good for your dog. If you have a dog, I'm sure you've all met dogs who have bad breath, right? Well, your dog's mouth is not supposed to stink, and it's usually because they've been eating kibble their whole life, and so the kibble gets stuck in their teeth. It causes plaque buildup. Dogs actually have an enzyme in their speech called lysozyme. It naturally kills odor-causing bacteria. And so if a dog is eating correctly, that enzyme, their immune system is working properly, and that enzyme is efficient. So you should never have to take your dog to get their teeth cleaned. You should never have to brush your dog's teeth. If they're eating correctly, you'll never have to do it. The 3 dogs I've owned, they've all been on a whole foods diet, largely raw meat. And when they're eating the right way, their immune system works properly, and those enzymes in their mouth are effective. And so their mouths should be clean naturally. Their breath should not smell. Their teeth should be white. You should never have to clean your dog's teeth. So it's just a tip. Now, I remember I told this story yesterday, but there's probably some new people watching. I remember when I first adopted Bruno, he had alopecia, which, if you don't know what alopecia is, it's like open sores all over the body. And he had a plaque problem. His breath was horrible, and he had an ear infection. Now, he was only 1 year and 1 month old when I got him. And the vets at the Humane Society said they had him on this medicine. I forget what it was called, but they said it's not working, but finish the script out, and if you don't see any improvement, bring him back. We'll figure something out. Well, I had already had Kaylee for 6 months, and I had already had her on a raw meat diet, and she was doing really well. So I took him home. I threw the medicine away, and I put him on a raw meat diet. And literally 5 days was all it took for the open sores to clear up. His plaque went away. The plaque problem in his mouth went away. His breath was back to normal. And the ear infection was gone. And so I'm thinking, you know, because of course, you know, even now there's still some debate, and the vets will tell you, oh, don't feed your dogs raw meat. But ever since that happened, I'm like, you know, because I've gotten into arguments with the vets over it. You know, when I would take Bruno in, and they didn't like that I was feeding raw meat, and I didn't say it to him, but I'm thinking, like, I fixed health problems you guys couldn't solve, so I don't really want to hear it. And Kaylee was no different. Kaylee never needed a vet. I had both of them for 13 years. Kaylee didn't need a vet till the last couple of months she was alive. Bruno only needed a vet a couple times just because one time he chipped his tooth and he got an infection. So he just needed to get that taken care of. But other than that, like, they didn't really need a vet. They were extremely healthy their whole lives. But I discovered, you know, when I was researching this stuff, because I used to live in Champaign and the U of I. Hey, no, girl, no. Is there shit there? Yeah, let's not do that. Come on. I mean, you need a bath anyway, but I don't want you rolling around and shit. But I discovered that the U of I's vet program was sponsored by, it was either Pedigree or Purina. I think it was Purina. And so it's just like the pharmaceutical companies where they you know, they sponsor, say, the medical programs. So I'm like, how is this not a conflict of interest? You've got the major pet food manufacturers sponsoring vet programs, and they're educating these people that dog food is what dogs should eat, and then so these vets go into practice believing this stuff, and that's what they push at the vet's office, you know. But the big one now is like science diet, which is absolute trash. Even like the ones that they claim are good, like the Blue Buffalo, I still wouldn't do it because it's still processed kibble. It's still dry processed kibble. I still go the route of whole foods. It doesn't even need to be 100% raw, just a whole foods diet. Meat-based. Right? That's what will be the healthiest for your dog. What you think, girl? Yeah. Appreciate everybody showing up. It's a beautiful day today. Beautiful Sunday. It's not too hot, although Goose is still enjoying the shade. We're just walking around downtown. If anybody didn't, you know, we were live yesterday downtown. Probably my favorite stream so far. If anybody in the room is new. Off-leash downtown. A lot of action. Dogs, traffic, cars, cops, people. This place Goose had never been before. She did great. She killed it. As I had expected her to, but if anybody's just showing up to the room, the reason I love these live streams is because you can't hide anything. There's no fancy editing. There's no bullshit. You know, you can't make things look good with the magic of editing. You know, it's just kind of like this is it, right? We'll go back downtown again. We'll do more streams downtown though, especially before summer's over. I really enjoyed that. Come on, girl, let's go this way. Come on, this way. What you think? What you think? What you think? Yeah. What you think? Come on. What you think? What you think, little one? Appreciate everybody showing up. If anybody has any questions, got a dog you have an issue with, feel free to ask. Here to help. yeah, this dog training industry is it's funny. It's interesting. It's a funny industry. You know, if you're just popping up in the stream, I said it earlier, but I make the distinction on my channel that training, what people call training, to me, and if you look at the definition of the word training, right, you're talking about skills. So, but if you have a behavioral issue, training is not the right course of action. What? Yeah. Behavioral issues are socially related. Dogs are social creatures. They see the world through the perspective of a dominance hierarchy. So if you have a dog with behavioral issues, those are socially related, and that typically pertains to the relationship dynamic between dog and owner, or dog and whatever humans that dog has encountered. So that has nothing to do with skills, right? Training is skills. Dog training should be exclusively, say you train a service dog, or you train a gun dog, or you train, say a seeing eye dog, therapy dog, whatever. Those are specific skills you are building in the dog. That has nothing to do with, I like to use the workplace analogy, right? When you go to get a job, they train you on how to do the job, right? The skills pertaining to the job. Come on, girl. Come on. Yeah. The skills related to the job, but whether or not you're proficient at the job has nothing to do with your attitude towards your job, your attitude towards your boss, or your attitude towards your coworkers. Those are social issues. You know, you could be totally disrespectful to your boss and be great at your job. You know what I mean? You won't last long, but the two are not mutually exclusive. You being good at a job has nothing to do with whether or not you're a fucking dick, or whether or not, you know, you respect the job, respect your boss, or what have you. It has nothing to do with how you perceive your boss, perceive the workplace. So it's the same with your dog. Your dog may be proficient in skills, but that has nothing to do with whether or not the dog respects you or not. It has nothing to do with whether or not the dog wants to follow you. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have a great relationship with that dog. So if you're new to my channel, like for instance, my dog, Grey Goose, I've never trained this dog. How good she is anywhere I take her has nothing to do with training. I've spent 0 time training this dog. I didn't spend any time training my previous 2 dogs. And in fact, every time I tried, it was kind of like, I don't know, I hated it. But you know, back then it was like Zach George was getting big, and you know, I'd see videos of Zach George doing all that crazy shit with this border collie, and back then I didn't know any better because I was still new at it. But here I am thinking like, oh man, my dogs can't do any of that, so I'm not as good. Or I feel like I should be doing that stuff. And then over time, I discovered that shit is meaningless. You know, whether or not your dog can do a fucking backflip off a skateboard on command has nothing to do. It doesn't have anything to do with that dog respecting you. Right? How you doing? Right, the two don't have anything to do with each other. That's why you see these videos of people that, you know, the dog, and some of them are just over the top. Like, you ever see videos where these people are like, I saw one, it was fucking crazy. This dude had a black lab, and he's making that dog quickly like go in between his legs and heel, you know, heel, go between the legs, make figure eights, all this shit. And people think that's impressive. It doesn't impress me. You know what I mean? In fact, I think it's over the top. Like, why do you want your dog to be doing all that? I don't. And you know how they get those results. It's all treat based stuff, which is fine in the right context. But if you have a behavioral issue, doing things, trying to get a dog to do shit for food is not the right way to go. In fact, I've had clients where they hired somebody who was say a treat trainer, and they had serious behavioral problems, and they made the dog worse. It's not the right way to go. Come on, girl. Or you want to go this way? Fuck it, let's go this way. Yeah, you want to go this way? I'd like to throw this bag of shit away at some point, girl. Let's go find a garbage can. Appreciate everybody showing up. Thank you for liking the video. The 2 of you that did, really appreciate it. Definitely helps the algorithm. I never ask for likes or anything, so but people that go out of the way to do it, really appreciate it. Come on. Let's go this way, girlfriend. Yeah, come on. Yeah. I'd like to find a garbage can real quick. I don't know if there's any over here. I'll leave her to her devices for a moment. I don't think there is one over here. Anybody has any questions or anything, let me know. Happy to help. If you got a dog that has an issue struggling with, I don't think there is. Oh, wait. Dumpster's over here. Let me know. Feel free to ask. Anybody just wants to chat. Had a really good conversation with a couple guys yesterday. So if anybody just wants to talk, more than welcome. But just trying to. Okay, thank you. Got rid of the bag. I'm gonna go find Goose. Give me 1 second here. Uno momento, por favor. Appreciate everybody showing up. For anybody that's new, we did a live stream yesterday downtown. Busy downtown. We were off leash. This is the first time Goose has been downtown. Probably my favorite live stream we've done so far. Went really, really well. She did great. Hear the bells. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. It was a great stream. So if you want to see what we do here, it'd be a good place to start, right? Anyway, and for anyone that's wondering, the reason I call myself the anti-dog trainer is because I don't agree with the traditional mindset around training. Say if I have a behavioral issue, I don't want to call it dog trainer. I don't want to try to train the dog. Okay, now I remember what I wanted to talk about. This idea, this word behavior, right? It's misapplied in the realm of behavioral issues. So, according to people like Robert Hines, like the textbook the psychology definition of behavior is an organism's response to environmental stimulus, right? To me, it's a very shallow definition of behavior. To me, and I do like to be particular about definitions, but I don't think that definition is good. I would describe a behavior as an expression of the currently held state of mind. For instance, you don't behave the same when you're angry as you do when you're sad. You don't behave the same when you're sad as you do when you're happy. You don't behave the same when you're frustrated as you do when you're calm. Right? So, if we apply that to the dog, I like to say, I tell my clients, people focus too much on behavior. So for instance, say you put a bowl of food down and your dog like immediately tries to get it, and you try to tell that dog to sit. Well, focusing on the dog sitting is irrelevant and useless, because the dog sitting does not mean the dog's state of mind is where you need it to be. So the sit is irrelevant if, say, when the dog sits, it begins to bark at you because it's demanding you give it the food. So what we want is behavior and the state of mind to come into alignment, where, say, I would much rather establish a boundary around the food, and I have many videos on this, if you like claiming food, if you've never seen it. I have a particular way of doing it where I claim the food, I establish a boundary around the food. The dog will sit on its own, usually lay down. It will show respect to that boundary. Okay, so the behavior would be the dog goes and sits down. But what I'm waiting for is for the state of mind to align with that, where the dog, A, no longer shows the intent to move forward to get the food. The dog is now calm and relaxed. As in, it's not whining, it's not anxious to get the food, it's not barking at you because it's demanding the food, none of that. And then 3, the dog's attention goes from the food to you. So now we're establishing a connection. Right, the dog is essentially, when it removes its attention from the food and it goes to you, the dog is essentially saying, all right, I respect it. You tell me when I can have it. That's the appropriate time to give the dog the food. Right, so the behavior and the state of mind are now aligned correctly, and you're giving the dog the food when it shows respect to the boundary you've established, and it's connecting with you in the right way. So that is not a training thing. That is a social interaction we're having. So the two look very, very different. That is why, to me, people will call it semantics, but to me it's a very, very big distinction. So I take issue with engaging with the behavioral problem through the lens of, say, the 4-quadrant training or the learning theory or anything like that. I don't approach things that way. I don't agree with it. How you doing? In the same way that, say, if you had a disagreement with a friend, you wouldn't be thinking 4 quadrants learning theory. It would be a social interaction you have with your friend. Maybe your friend is disrespectful to you. Maybe your friend crosses a boundary you have. Well, that's not a matter of trying to train your friend, right? It's a matter of you have to engage in a social level to let your friend know that it's unacceptable for them to cross that boundary. And if they can't respect it, you move the fuck on, right? Or if you have maybe you have a kid and the kid's being disrespectful, you're not thinking about reward and punishment. You're thinking about the attitude the kid has. How do I change the attitude of the child? Because now we're talking about influence, right? Influence is key. How you influence. I always say, I have a video with there's a thumbnail, and I say that the more you have to rely on force and tools is equivalent to your ability to influence. So if your ability to influence is great, is at a much higher level, then you're not going to need to rely on tools and force as much. But if your ability to influence the right way is poor, then you will be relying much more on force and tools. And this is where you'll see you'll see people, let's say from the balance board, for instance, where they think like yanking on the dog's neck with the leash to correct it is like the right way to do, to communicate to the dog that you don't like what it's doing. But if the dog doesn't respond the way you want that, usually they'll apply more force, they'll jerk more forcefully. Well, if you have to do that, then what that means is that your attempt at influencing this dog is not good, right? You have to go about things in a different way. So I have many videos. Well, I wouldn't say many. I have a handful about using a leash, walking, establishing a leader-follower dynamic, which is what it should be. You're in a position of authority, leadership. The dog is meant to follow you, right? So when you go for a walk, that's the goal, is establishing that leader-follower dynamic. So that, like, I don't have to call Goose to me, really. Just if I move in a direction, she follows. I don't really have to say anything to her, right? This is why I don't really believe in, like, teaching commands. I could give a fuck less about teaching commands. Again, those are training concepts. Those are skills. Right? So I just don't, it's just not stuff I do. I don't teach commands. I don't, you know, we operate on a bit of a different level. Right? If I just move in a direction, she follows. I mean, that's just the way it should be. You shouldn't have to be repeatedly issuing commands to your dog to get them to follow you. You shouldn't have to be repeatedly asserting yourself to get a dog to stop doing something either. If you have to do either one of those, then something isn't lined up correctly. Anyway, appreciate everybody joining. If you have any questions, got a dog you need help with, feel free to ask. If anybody's new to the channel, welcome. Glad to have you. If anybody just wants to chat, more than welcome. If you're new, the reason I love the live streams, I have several of them. The one I did yesterday, probably my favorite, downtown, busy area, Goose off-leash. But the reason I love the live streams is because, you know, there's no fancy editing, there's no hiding anything, there's no bullshit. It's just, you know, it's the truth. It's like, you know, you can't manipulate it. Right? So I think it's a great way to show people whether or not you're full of shit. Right? So I'm hoping maybe it's a trend we can start. I don't know, you know, see more dog training channels do live streams with their own dog, doing stuff like this, you know, instead of just making things look good for social media. Anyway, thank you all for showing up. Hopefully it's a beautiful Sunday wherever you're at. Beautiful Sunday here. Not too hot for Goose, so she's definitely probably appreciative of it. If you're new to my channel, welcome. We're just out here having fun, taking a walk. We do this every day. Did a live stream yesterday downtown, busy downtown. A lot of action, cars, dogs, people, cops, off leash. Probably my favorite stream. If you want to check that out, I highly recommend it. You could see the results of what it is we do here. Right? No bullshit. Back at the pool. Now, I've lived here 3 years. I've never been in that pool. I always tell myself, this year I'll get in the pool, and I still never have. I'd like to get in the pool. Still haven't done it, though. Someday I will. Right? Come on. We used to really like going through there. But, I don't know. I like going through here in the fall and the winter, but during the summer it's usually, well, it's not too bad in here. I thought it'd be a lot more overgrown. Goose likes coming in here. Yeah, you want to go through here? It don't look too bad. I just always worry about the fleas and ticks. Which, by the way, if maybe you're a new dog owner, please don't use those flea collars, flea and tick collars. Those are terrible for your dog. Do not recommend those at all. Actually, they've gone the route of these like chewables. It's like a once a month chewable, and I actually found those to be pretty effective. I would much rather recommend that than you know, some of them are like the chemicals you put on the dog's neck. I wouldn't recommend that either. Those chemicals are really bad for your dog. Wouldn't do it. Gee, I like this trail. There's this gazebo up here. It looks over the lake. What you think, girlfriend? You know, when you reach this stage, life is easy with your dog. You really can just do whatever you want. Oh wow, now it's overgrown. Okay. In the winter, you can just see the lake. Like, these trees aren't as big, right, girlfriend? These trees aren't as big. Yeah, I know, these trees aren't as big, right? Right? Look at that little tail. You wag that little tail for me? Yeah, wag that little tail for me. Huh? Wag that little tail. Yeah. What you think, girlfriend? I know, you want to go all the way through? That'd be a nice picture, wouldn't it? What do you see? Anyways, I was saying, you know, when you get to this level, man, life is just easy with your dog. There's no problems. Every day is easy, fun, smooth. You know, there's no friction between you and the dog. But then that goes to, so, you know, I have a lot of videos on my channel where I discuss dominance, right? And dominance is like it's become a dirty word. But the truth is, dominance makes all the difference. Dogs see things from the perspective of a dominance hierarchy, similar to people, because we're both social creatures. But the truth is, if you dominate your dog in the correct way, now, not all dogs need the same level, but if you do it the right way, this is what you get. You want to go back? Right? It's really just about establishing yourself as an authority figure in your dog's eyes. It's about the perception of your dog, the dog seeing you the right way. Right? You're the rule maker, you establish the boundaries, you provide the direction. You're the disciplinary figure. And so that naturally puts you in a position of leadership, right? So people very much misunderstand dominance or its role or how to apply it, and I understand that there's a lot of people that they're heavy-handed with their dogs in the name of dominance, and it gives it a bad rap. So I get it. But if you look at the definitions of the words, dominance, the definition of dominance is power and influence over others. Right? So it comes down to the communication you provide to the dog. If you communicate to the dog in the right way, you are establishing power and influence over your dog. Now, actually, I'll do a whole stream, now that I'm getting ideas here, I'll do a whole stream just talking about power struggles. Because power struggles are a very important element of establishing leadership. Establishing yourself at the top of that hierarchy. Because say if you have a rebellious dog or a dog that maybe you weren't giving the right amount of discipline to, and that dog starts to attempt to control you, or the dog attempts to dominate you because the power dynamic is imbalanced, it's flipped, then when you start to when you start to assert yourself in a certain way, the dog, it depends on how strong-minded the dog is, it will cause a power struggle. And so those power struggles are necessary. You have to win those in order to rebalance the power dynamic, where human sits at the top and the dog now understands that it doesn't have as much power as it used to, and now its job is to follow. So that can look different. Depending on the dog. And sometimes power struggles, they happen over, maybe it's things that the dog believes it owns, like food, toys, bones, whatever, furniture, your bed, or people even. Dog believes it possesses you or someone in the family. Or it can even be, hold on, let's not cross the street yet, girl. Let's wait. Let's wait. It could even be as soon as you put a leash on the dog. All right, let's go. The dog may express it's disagreeable to being on the leash. That will cause a power struggle. The dog might resist you. Or, you tell the dog to do or not do something, and the dog blows you off or resists you. Those are signs that you want to go that way. Yeah, let's go this way. Those are signs that the relationship dynamic is not where it should be. But those are good. Those opportunities are really good, because when you can bring that out of the dog, it gives you an opportunity to confront it. And oftentimes people like to avoid the problem rather than confronting it, and then it never gets solved, and usually it gets worse. That's why I don't agree with this, the idea that, say, the forestry people promote, where it's avoidance and management. It's like, well, you never solve the problem then, because you spend all your time trying to avoid the problem. Since when has avoiding a problem ever been the right solution? For anything, really. I can't think of a single time that avoiding a problem has ever been the way to solve it. Right, Goose? But appreciate everybody showing up. We're almost home. So if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to ask. We got a few minutes left here. Thank you all for joining us. Definitely love doing these live streams. Right, Goose? Oh, we got a car coming. Alright, come on, bro. Appreciate everybody joining. New to the channel, welcome. This is my dog, Grey Goose. I am not a dog trainer. Never trained this dog a day in my life. Never trained my other two dogs either. We talk about social dynamics here. Behavioral problems are socially related, not training related. That's the distinction I make. If you're new to the channel and you're wondering, that is the distinction I make. Oh, hey Ryan, I was wondering if you'd show up or not. It's all good, man. Well, since you're here, I guess I'll hang out. I'm just about home, but since you're here, we'll hang out for a minute. I haven't checked my email this morning. I've been busy this morning, so I don't know if you have any updates. I didn't see any videos though. But no, you're fine. You're fine. It's just I haven't had a chance to check them this morning. But I think Goose is done. So I'll keep the stream going. I'll let her in. I'll keep the stream going though, so I can talk to Ryan. Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep walking then. Well, how'd last night go? Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the music. This guy over there likes to work on his cars and blast music on the weekends. Which, hey, you know, whatever. No big deal. Appreciate everybody showing up. I just let Grey Goose inside, but Ryan's here, so we're gonna talk to Ryan. But if anybody else has any questions or anything, let me know. Appreciate everybody liking the video. Thank you. I'm not someone who begs for likes, but if you go out of your way to do it, it's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. If you're just joining, I just let Goose in the house, so it's just me for now. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Did an awesome live stream yesterday. Took Goose downtown, busy downtown. A lot of cars, dogs, people, cops. So if you want to see a dog off leash in a busy downtown area, I'd recommend watching it. It's probably my favorite stream we've done so far. Her first time downtown, she killed it. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I was thinking about going back that evening because the one guy said they were going to, the professional bicyclists were going to race, but I didn't want to push Goose too hard, and I had plans last night, so I figured we'll go back another day. So, create questions, mental stimulation. Is she bored as well as anxious? Am I abusing her? Craning her so much or leaving her out on the line cooler? Well, the mental stimulation can look different for different dogs, right? I find it okay. So like Grizzy, for instance, right? Grizzy's sort of the bored type. right? He loves chewing on stuff, and he'll kind of bounce from thing to thing, but it's just out of boredom. He's not anxious or anything like that. But for me, the best antidote to that is getting them around other dogs. So one thing you could incorporate with Max is I would start seeing if you can find her some dogs to play with. That should help out a lot. Now the anxious chewing, I'm sure there's a level of it where there's some anxiety. You know, if I have a dog that chews anxiously, then I'm going to do what I can to calm that dog down first, and then give them something to chew on. Because then otherwise you create this habit where the dog is always trying to self-soothe, but the dog never really learns how to just chill out and then chew on something calmly. I don't think you're abusing her by crating her so much or leaving her. If she likes being out on the line, fuck it, let her. I don't see anything wrong with it. Now you may be overdoing it with the crate, just in terms of, because if we want the crate to represent, you know, a consequence, but also a place that she can go to relax, you know, then I would only use the crate in those contexts. You know what I mean? Or like, say, for instance, if you know you're leaving somewhere and you want to make sure she doesn't get in anything, then you can use the crate. Otherwise, I would be focusing more on, let's establish boundaries while you're home, and then use the crate when necessary. For anyone just joining, appreciate you joining. I dropped Goose off at home. She's done walking, so I'm just talking to Ryan here. Yeah, I wouldn't even, like, for me, Ryan, I don't give a fuck about commands. I don't, like, I've never done it with any of my dogs. I've never done command work with any of my dogs. That's just me, you know. But yeah, she might just not give a fuck about it. I don't give a fuck about it personally. Yeah, and it's good. Like, it's good that she loves the bones so much, and they seem to be lasting. But like I said, I would also, the other element of that is I would get her around some other dogs, personally. That would do a lot for her. That's because then she can engage socially on her level. And truthfully, there's dogs interacting and playing with each other and kind of applying that pressure to each other is a much better form of mental stimulation for them than anything we can do, in my opinion. Well, that's okay. She don't even have to play. Just get her around other dogs and just see what she does. Right? And it may just be she just hasn't been around a dog she really cares to interact with. I would expose her to more and more dogs and see if there's the one she clicks with. You know, because Goose is the same way. She doesn't play so much with Goose is more of a disciplinarian type of dog. She does play sometimes, but Goose is more like she wants to discipline when necessary, and she does play here and there, but that's kind of the role she plays. That's her mindset. Yeah, that's fine. 10 to 30 minutes. I'd say that's normal. Okay, so that's a little different. If she's clinging to you and the dogs are present, I would actually push her away, send her out. I wouldn't encourage that, because that is more of an insecure type of thing, where I don't want my dog clinging to me. I want to push them out of their. Can you hear me now? what I was saying was, if she's clinging to you, that's a little bit different. I wouldn't encourage that. Like, I've had dogs that do that, and what I'll do is if you're around, say you get around other dogs and she's clinging to you, I would push her away to create some space, kind of like send her out there. Otherwise, she'll never engage. Push her out of her comfort zone. I've even had there's a dog on my channel, Milo. It was incredible how quick he changed. The first time I met him, he was doing, I mean, this dog, I've never seen a dog stick to their owner so intensely. And I told her, I was like, hey, just push him away when he does that. And that dog went from this scared, shaking, nervous wreck to, the more she pushed him away, he started, his physiology started to open up. He started to become a little more confident, and she was kind of sending him out there, and he would get further and further away from her. So that's what I would do. Yeah, that's an insecurity that I wouldn't want to nurture that. I wouldn't want to send her in the other direction. Oh yeah, the recycling. Yeah, I would keep doing that. And when she clings to you, just create some space, push her away. Yeah, I wouldn't encourage that at all. So the recycling, here's what I do when I have dogs that counter surf, get into stuff in the kitchen, is I will bait them. Like, say for instance, if I have a dog that likes to jump up on the counter, I will put food on the counter, I will pretend to leave the room, and then I will wait until they're just about to jump up, and then I'll address them. So you could do the same thing with the recycling, where you just leave the recycling out, pretend to leave the room, wait till she is about to get into it, and then you can address her. But part of it too is you want to make sure you get in between her and the bin, so she understands that boundary. It's a concrete way of establishing a boundary, and then send her away. But you have to repeat that so she understands that, hey, the recycling is off limits. So that's what I would do. You know, I would give her the opportunity to try to get into it, and then catch her at the right moment, so you can tell her that bin's off limits. Awesome. Excellent. Yeah, just keep mixing it, you know, with the food you already got. Just mix the egg, chicken, whatever in the food, and that should help. Yeah, for anybody watching, it's something too I see a lot with my clients, where, you know, if you leave food out all the time for a dog, one of two things can happen. The dog will get the idea that it owns that food, or the dog will just be bored with it because it's always there. It's like when you leave treats or whatever out, and it's just always available, the dog will just eventually get bored of it because it's always there. And if you're feeding the dog the same thing every meal, it's only natural for them to just get tired. I've had clients where, you know, they're like, well, the dog isn't eating. I don't understand why. And I'm like, well, if you give it something new, will it eat? Yeah, well, it's obvious. The dog's bored of food. I mean, imagine if you ate the same shit every meal day after you would get pretty tired of it too. So I'm always mixing up, you know, the meals, different food. Keeps it interesting, and I don't recommend leaving the food out. Just have scheduled feeding times. Yeah, definitely being recorded for sure, Ryan. Makes it easy to tweak things so I can see it. But for everybody who just showed up, thank you, appreciate it. Appreciate you joining us. If anybody has any questions, got a dog you need help with, feel free to ask. If you're new to the channel, I love these live streams because it's no bullshit. You can't edit, you can't hide things, you can't make things look good for social media. It's just, well, Goose is in the house now, but you know, when she was out with me, that's the idea. Is, you know, you can't hide nothing. Right. Well, no, it's okay, Ryan. There's ways to do it cheaply. You know, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to make it work. Sorry about the wind, everybody. It's a nice windy day. Beautiful weather today. Here, you know what? I'll walk in between the buildings to cut the wind out. Well, I mean, how secure is the collar? You know, the collar should be tight enough that you could slip a couple of fingers in it. You don't want it too tight, but it should be tight enough that they can't slip their head out of it. But I mean, you know, it's just one of those things where they're in the back. Just keep an eye on her. You know, check on her every now and then. Hi. Yeah, you know, if you're in the house, just peek your head out every now and then. Just make sure she's all right. It's a big claim to fame, is it's why. Yeah, that should be fine. You know, and I like the martingales because, you know, they're usually pretty well made, and if the dog tries to slip out, it naturally tightens, so the dog can't just slip out of it. Anyway, for those of you just joining, appreciate it. Thank you for joining. Anybody has any questions? Goose is in the house. She's not out with me. She already walked. So if you wanted to see her, you'd have to go back to the beginning of the stream. Or I'd recommend checking out yesterday's stream. We went downtown where there's a lot of action. Dogs, cops, cars, people. She was off leash. She did great. Yeah, if she hasn't slipped out of the one you got, then I wouldn't worry about it. I don't see her showing, like, I mean, what reason would she have to try to get out of the leash unless she saw something she really wanted to chase, you know? So, you know, if she don't see anything she wants to chase, I wouldn't really worry about it. Oh, awesome. Excellent. And that's really, that's what you want to see. Yeah, let me see if Goose wants to. She probably won't want to come back out, but maybe. For those of you who are just joining me, she doesn't really like to hang out on the porch. Where you at, Goose? You want to come out? No, I don't think she wants to come out. She's lounging on the bed, I'm sure. I'm just gonna hang out here for a minute. Yeah, just keep doing that with the crate, man. If it sounds like it's working, just keep it up. Yeah, if you can get her together with the neighbor dog, see how that goes. But that would be what I would do. Get her around some other dogs. Appreciate everybody showing up. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you have any questions, let me know. Anything you want to discuss? Anything? I mean, it's not something you should be worrying about so much you get sick over. You know. You know, it's just kind of it's just one of those things you just have to repeatedly address at first, and then it'll slowly go away over time. You know, if she's always trying to get into something, then it's just you just got to be on your toes to catch her at the right moment so you can repeatedly assert those boundaries. But like I said, one thing you can do, like if you just want to hang out in the living room and you don't want to have to worry about her getting into shit, is uh, put a leash on her. That way she's just lying right next to you. You don't have to worry about her getting up and going and getting into something, and then you have to go up and get it, follow her. You know. Well, if you miss, yeah, you if too much time has passed between her doing something and you addressing it, then the connection won't be made. So the ideal moments are you can catch her right as she's about to do something. Like when she shows the intent to do something, you catch her right before she does it, or you catch her in the act. Now you can still catch her right as she's done something. You know, she'll still be able to make the connection, but it's best to do it as she's doing something or right before she's about to do something. But if too much time has passed, I would just say you missed your opportunity. Just clean up whatever mess and move on. You know? Right. Well, if you can you can identify a pattern, right? If you know, okay, I go in the bath and she's likely to do X, Y, and Z, then now you can anticipate it, right? And so what I would do, and this is what I do. I do this a lot, Ryan, where I will do things if I can anticipate the dog's next move, then that's your that's the best way to address it. Like if you know, okay, I draw the bath, I get in the bath, and that's she's going to take the opportunity to get into something. Well, I would draw a fake bath or pretend to be in the bathroom, so that way she gets the idea that, oh, now's my opportunity to get into something. But if you're not really in the bath, you can maybe wait till you start hearing something, then you can open the door and go address her. So so what I like to do is I like to set up situations where I can catch the dog, and then it's easy to address it. So now you're being proactive. You're not being reactive. You're not being reactionary to whatever she's doing. Yeah, and yeah. When you step out, that's what I would do then. I would pretend to step out and then just wait for her to get in some, and then boom, I address it. Yeah, there's no point in getting mad. It's like, all right, it is what it is. We missed our opportunity. We'll wait for the next one. But this is something I do a lot with my clients, or like if I have a dog here for a couple of days. Those are things that I do where I'll pretend to leave the apartment or I'll pretend to leave the room if I know a dog is prone to do something, and then I'll wait for it to happen, and then I'll address it. Or it's like, um, oh shit. Like if, what was I gonna say? Oh, like with guests, it's something, handling the dog when guests arrive, or when the doorbell rings, or when somebody knocks. It's something I drill a lot with my clients. So what we'll do is, if I haven't, if the my client has an issue with, say, the dog barking at guests or jumping on guests or whatever, then I'll show them how do we direct the dog before the guest arrives, and then once that doorbell goes off, I show them how to address the dog, and then we just repeat that over and over and over again. Like I'll go out, ring the doorbell, come back in, pretend to be a guest. We'll just repeat that until the dog no longer gives a fuck about the doorbell. So you do that same thing with her, where you just keep setting up these situations where you know she's probably going to get into something. Pretend like you're leaving and then address it. Well, that's the thing, Ryan, is as I said before, this is the pattern that that always occurs, right? And this is why, and some people got offended by it, which I don't, whatever. It's the truth though, where I made that video saying, like, if you're about to get a dog, please ask yourself, A, why are you getting the dog? Like, what is your motivation behind it? Are you doing it for the right reasons? And B, how much do you know about dogs? Because what happens is if people aren't getting the dog for the right reasons, and they don't know much about them to begin with, and I'm not pointing the finger at you, Ryan, I'm just saying in general, then you go and get the dog, and then the dog inevitably has problems, and then the person's reaction is, well, just go get rid of the dog. And so it's this endless cycle where the dog gets blamed. Nobody wants to put up with the dog, and then the dog is perpetually in and out of the shelter. Nothing ever gets solved. Well, just remember, Ryan, you're only what, 2-3 weeks in, so it's this. This is a normal process. No, and it's nobody's fault, Ryan. It's just, it's just the reality of the culture we have with dogs. Is the majority of people that own them don't know much about them. So the majority of the dogs in shelters, as a byproduct, and just because humans are so fucked up to begin with, dogs are fucked up because we're fucked up. So most of the dogs in the shelters have some kind of issue. So people get them, they get them for the wrong reasons. Then the dog starts to show its true colors over time, and then the people blame the dog, and then they get rid of the dog, and then it's just like it never, you know what I mean? Or the people keep the dog, and the problems just get worse and worse and worse. Yeah, and it's something like I've had clients, and I've met people where they have anxiety issues, and they get a dog because they want, like, a what do you call them, like um, like a therapy dog. But yeah, it's like, listen, a dog is not the right animal. Like, if you have anxiety issues, a dog wouldn't be the right animal to get if you're trying to make the dog like your emotional tampon, your emotional blanket, something to soothe you. Because all the dog is going to pick up on is that you're anxious all the time. It's just not a good situation. And I'm not saying in your case that this is a bad mix. I'm just saying I've met clients who are much worse, and you know what I mean. No, but here's the thing, Ryan. I always look at, and it was true for my previous two dogs. Now, listen, like I said, be glad you didn't get a Bruno, because anybody's first dog or second dog being something like Bruno is I mean, it's not ideal. But the good thing is, I look at it as an opportunity for growth. The challenges and issues I had to deal with having Keely, and especially Bruno, it forced me in a position where I had to be better. I had to overcome my own bullshit. I had to fix myself in order to give those dogs what they needed. So I saw it as an opportunity to become a better human being. Yeah, see if they're on board with it. But like I said, just see this as an opportunity to, because dogs are a great opportunity to develop leadership skills. Having a dog, there's a lot of skills that you need to build the right relationship dynamic. So it puts you in a position where it's a good opportunity to learn those skills. It's a good opportunity to overcome your own emotional shortcomings too. Like especially if you're somebody that's prone, if you have a short temper or maybe you get overly emotional about things, having a dog kind of forces you into a position where you have to work through those things if you want to be the strong leader your dog needs. That's what I had to do. I used to have a short temper. I used to be all over the place. And so I forced I had to have a real conversation with myself, basically saying like, listen, my neither one of these dogs is really going to truly respect me if I don't get this shit resolved. And so I had to work through that stuff. And I'm glad I did because, like I said, I'm a much better human being for it. Yeah, of course they're gonna say, well, and like I said, I make to me there's a difference between punishment and consequence, a natural consequence for something, right? So if like I said, you're not punishing the dog by putting it in a crate. If you're not doing it out of anger or malice or ill intent, it's just like, hey, you broke a rule or you're being disrespectful and you're not listening to me when I'm trying to tell you that you need to stop. Well, the natural consequence is you lose your freedom for a little bit until you calm down, then you can be let out. Yeah, I don't know where these arbitrary for like I don't understand it. Yeah, most of there's so much conflicting information. Well, you got to figure, Ryan, the mainstream advice is centered around the purely positive bullshit. So that's what they're going to say. But I'm telling you, every puppy client I've ever had, we've used the crate as a consequence, and it's helped every single one of my clients, especially with puppies. Yeah, and that's fine. That's the way you would like it. She just goes in there because it's a nice little secure environment. But see, you using the crate as a consequence isn't going to change that, right? Like I said, I used to do the same thing for Bruno, and then once we got to a point where I didn't need it anymore, he just liked to go in there, you know. Yeah, although, to me, even the positive negative to me is it's too superficial, right? No, and I wouldn't recommend that anyway. There's no need to spank or hit or anything like that. Yeah, I like those collars with the handles on them. Those are nice. Those are usually helpful. Ryan, you don't even need to say it, Ryan. You know, you just being calm. The quickest way to calm a dog down is to provide structure and establish boundaries. I'll tell you guys a story. Appreciate everybody showing up. Um, this was actually a session I had with a client. This is what actually drove me to quit my job and do this full time. Um, I was doing free seminars at the local pet store, and this woman came and she wanted to hire me. She was telling me about this, that her son had got her this dog. I don't know how he got this dog here, but I guess this dog was like a wild dog on an island. And he found this, I don't know how he found this dog, but he got this dog here and gave it to her as a gift. Now, she's an older woman, she's retired. And this is a pretty um, spunky young dog. But the way she was describing it, it made it sound like this dog was just like the biggest challenge I'd ever had. Now, she was out of her depth with the dog. Like, she never encountered a dog like this. But I show up for this session, and I'm expecting like this big bad dog, you know. So when I got on the home, this was a session I wish I recorded. I wish I had recorded the session. This is before I started recording my sessions, though. But the first thing that dog wanted to do, as soon as I walked in, was the dog started asserting itself towards me, and it was barking and barking. And it was one of those dogs that would move towards you, but it would stop, and then it would start to display more defensive behavior. Now, I guess she did say that this dog has like nipped people before. It would run up and like nip people. Now, her friend Steve was there. So what I noticed though, when this dog was barking at me, um, how you doing? Neither one of them were really doing anything to address the dog. So I was sitting on the couch, right, and this dog was just barking, barking, barking. And I noticed a pattern. This dog would bark, 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 and then it would attempt to jump up on. It was like a hospital bed in the living room because if somebody that lived there had medical issues. But so the dog would bark, 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 and then it would jump up on the bed next to Steve, and Steve would start petting the dog. So when I noticed this pattern, I decided to stand up again to get the dog to start barking at me again. Now it was back on the floor. And then I told the owner, I said, all right, when she starts barking at me, go get in front of her and address her and send her away. And then I told Steve, I said, okay, Steve, when she tries to jump on the bed like that, just block her to assert a boundary there. And so the both of them did that. And then once Nova was her name, once Nova realized she didn't have any other option, she couldn't jump up on the bed like she wanted to. She couldn't demand attention from Steve. And now the owner was stepping in and being confronting her in an authoritative manner. Now her only option was to just go to the bed and lay down. So the dog went from barking, barking, shaking, being nervous, and asserting itself to, okay, I can't jump on the bed, I can't demand attention from Steve, and now I'm getting direction from the owner. Well, she calmed down in like 5-10 minutes just from establishing a couple of boundaries and from the owner giving her some direction. Because the dog was taking it upon herself. She didn't know what to do. She's like, okay, this stranger's walking in the house. The dog believed it was in a position of leadership because she's not getting the leadership from her owner. And so once the owner stepped up and gave the dog the direction she was looking for, and we just set a couple boundaries, the dog then was able to relax. So it was just that simple. No affection. We didn't give her, of course, a big part of it too was no affection. Steve was petting her as she's all stressed out and nervous and engaging assertively toward a guest. So we had to cut that out. And I told him just ignore her, but when she tries to jump up, block her. And then when she barks, the owner would step in and address her, and then she just went and lay down. It was that simple. thing that's been a hardest finding prepper attack vectors. Teach Max what she needs to know. Yeah, it's just a matter of catching her. Like if she continues to do it and it goes unaddressed, then the only thing she's gonna believe is that it's okay, right? That's why, Ryan, like that one video of Milo I sent you. That's what I would do, because Milo sounds like at least similar to Max in the regard of she's just always looking for that next thing to get into. Milo was that way. Like he always needed to be in control of something, and so I had to. When I brought him here, for the first like shit, I don't even know how long it took. I was just constantly setting boundaries. And finally, he went and lay down and relaxed because he realized, okay, I can't have my way here. Right, and that's why because if you have a dog that does it when you're gone, then that's why I'll just set up a situation where I'll pretend to be gone, so the dog then tries to get into something, and then I can address the dog. Well, the thing with Milo is I just didn't sit down, Ryan. I was on him like white on rice. Every time he went to the next thing, I got in between him and the thing, sent him away. Told him no. Then he would go try to get something else. I did the same. I just repeated that until he finally went and laid down. So I didn't stop or take a break. I persisted until he just gave it up. It's not even really about setting her up. It's just about once the dog's in the home, you're just kind of following them around, and every time they try to get in something, there's your opportunity to address it. No, he was there for the whole day, or he was here for the whole day. I don't think Milo's ever stayed the night. Now that I think about it, he was I would do like 12-hour days with him. But one thing I want to point out too, Ryan, is like one thing when you see me do that with dogs, and in that video with Milo too, like I'm not really talking to the dog. I'm not giving affection to the dog. I'm not doing anything except providing discipline. I'm just waiting for the dog to go try to get the next thing and then address it. And then I wait for the dog to go try to get the next thing, and in between me disciplining the dog, I'm not petting the dog. I'm not saying anything to the dog. I'm not doing shit. I'm just following that dog around and waiting for the next opportunity to address it. Appreciate everybody showing up. What do you mean? What do you mean needless distractions for the dog's brain? A lot of times, Ryan, it comes down to control. Like the dog wants to control something. And so that's where oftentimes, like if you've ever seen a dog who maybe, let's say there's a bone on the floor and there's two dogs, right? Have you ever seen a dog where one dog doesn't give a fuck about the bone until the other dog has it? Now, as soon as that other dog gets it, now the dog wants to get it. Yeah, you may be doing too much. Right, and this is where you want the communication to be clear and concise. And so look at it this way. In the dog world, right? Say two dogs are in, or like if you ever seen the videos of Goose with another dog, the only communication that's happening is the dog, the dog who is the more dominant one in most cases will be the one disciplining the other dog. So the communication is simply, it really boils down to, I'm going to tell you what I don't like, and then everything else in between that is acceptable, right? But they don't like positively reinforce each other. It's simply, hey, when you do something that I don't like, I'm going to let you know, and then we move on, and everything in between is good, right? So apply that same principle where, like, if you I've seen this I've seen this so many times where, like, somebody will be, say the dog's jumping on you, right? And the person will be saying, like, down, 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 push the dog down, down, and then they'll, for whatever reason, try to tell the dog, sit, sit, sit. And then the dog sits, and as soon as the dog sits, they're like, oh, good, good boy, good boy. And then they're petting on the dog. It's too much all at once. Way too much communication. And you're throwing all these different energies at the dog. It's like, no, let's simplify it. Just communicate what you don't want the dog to do and leave it at that. And then once the dog calms down and is consistently showing respect to you, then you can pet the dog if you want. But I'm all about, let's just establish the boundaries, focus on the discipline, and I wouldn't even say anything to the dog aside from that. Leave it at that for a while. Nah, she's not grouchy. She's just a very assertive dog, you know, but she's a very fair communicator. Right? Positive reinforcement, or this idea of rewarding is really a human thing, right? And that's probably true, right? Yeah, you're not saying as much, because I think people don't understand that when we talk to a dog, we are introducing different types of energy to the dog, and we may not be aware of it. So that's why a lot of the times I'm not even talking. Like, all these live streams I've done, Ryan, how many times you ever see me really talk to Goose? There might be a time here and there where I'm saying, all right, let's go. But aside from that, really, I'm not really saying anything to her. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's really all the communication you need. But yeah, over communicating is something I see a lot. Because you have to understand too, like, the dogs don't understand what we're saying. They understand the energy you're putting behind it. But, they'll build an association between words and actions, or words and things, and what have you. Um, but beyond that, it's like there's really no reason to really talk all that much to them. We communicate in a different way. I guess I can flip this camera and even here I am pointing the camera at nothing. Like, I didn't. Well, trust is built, right? So, and trust it comes in different trust isn't just this one umbrella thing. It's like you may trust her to walk well on the leash with you, or you may trust her to, in a particular context, say you may come to a point where, okay, I trust her when I go take a bath, she's not going to destroy anything. But that doesn't mean you trust her in every other area. It just means, okay, in this particular area, I trust her not to do this, or I trust her to do this, right? So over time, consistency is usually what leads to the trust. When the dog is consistently demonstrating something to you, you then can learn to trust the dog. Right? Like when I walk Goose off leash, I take her anywhere and I trust her not to run on the fucking road. I trust her she's not going to bark at people. She's not going to engage with dogs inappropriately. I trust her to do all that because she's demonstrated consistently over a period of time that she's not going to do that. I trust her to just follow me. Yeah, it's nothing to be paranoid over. It's just um, it's just something to be proactive about, and something you just have to repeatedly address it, you know. But that's why I love setting up these situations to kind of bait the dog into doing it, because the byproduct of that is, let's say you set up a situation and you address it a few times, and then you keep setting him up, and then you start to notice that she's really not doing it anymore, and so you pretend to leave the room and you're waiting, she's not doing anything. Well, now the more that happens, now you're starting to be able to trust her to not engage that way when you're gone, right? So that's how you're going to be able to see, is she starting to understand this. But the other part of that too is just like, the things you can kind of put out of reach, like the important stuff you'd be really mad if she destroyed. I would just put that out of reach for now while you're working on it, so that you're not really worried about her destroying anything crucial. Well, it's not even about her not taking the bait. It's about her showing that she doesn't have the intent anymore to just get into shit when you're not around. Because now you're addressing it at the right moment, and she's understanding that, okay, this is not acceptable. There's a line here I'm not supposed to cross. Possibly. But that's why it's important to just be consistent, that you're addressing every little instance that it happens. And this is why also too, I don't believe in, the common advice is, if you have like a dog that chews, or like a dog that's mouthing you, is the common advice is, oh, just redirect them with something they can chew on. Well, no, it's you. If you do that, you're indirectly rewarding the wrong thing, and you're never setting a boundary. You're never communicating to that dog that this is unacceptable, right? So if you focus on setting those boundaries where it's necessary, then the dog can get a clear picture of what is and what is not acceptable. So it's more important to say, hey, don't chew on this, and then when the dog respects that, okay, you can have this. Chew on this instead. Right, and it usually never does. It's the same with like dog that mouths you. It's like, well, if you never communicate to the dog that it's unacceptable to mouth you, and you just give it something to chew on, well, it's never going to learn that mouthing you is unacceptable. Yeah, it'll get there, man. Over time, it'll get there. The important thing, though, is that you're seeing a gradual diminishment, right? You're moving in the right direction. That's the important thing. Oh shit, what time is it? 2:18. Alright, a few more minutes. A few more minutes, Ryan, then I gotta let you go. Yeah, you'll be alright, man. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. Sometimes in our head we make bigger deals out of things. Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves. Sometimes we're worrying about shit that, is just not worth worrying about. You know what I mean? And like you said, like think of it this way too. At least the issues you're having with Max now, at least you don't have like this incredibly reactive dog, this dog that's trying to kill other. At least you don't you don't need to worry about any of that, right? It's not trying to kill the roommates, right? So at least these are pretty these issues are um, not extreme. So I would, you could look at it from that perspective too. It's like, I don't know, could be a lot worse. Right? Yeah. I always just think like, man, at least this isn't like the border collie. It could be that bad, right? And all things considered, like I said, like I've met dogs way worse than Max. So it's like, you know, all things considered, I think you got a pretty good dog. You know. Yeah. Right. Well, at least she's peeing and pooping outside, right? You know, she don't have any house training issues to worry about. But all right, Ryan. If you got anything else you want to ask, now's the time. Nah, you ain't bugging me, man. Trying trying to get the train on track to success, man. Just glad I could help. It's all good. We'll get you there. Anyway, I'll let you go. I gotta charge my phone and get some things done. Cool. Yeah, there you go. Start with that. Record some videos. Tag me. Let me know how it goes, man. All right, sir. Keep me updated. And I guess for now, I'll let you go. I'll end the stream here. I'm gonna get some shit done. Everybody else, appreciate you joining. Forgot what I was gonna say. Catch the replay if you want. Check out the live stream from yesterday. I think that was probably my favorite live stream we've done, taking Goose downtown. But appreciate everybody joining, watching. Anybody's any questions or needs help with anything, feel free to leave a comment. Anyway, Ryan, I'll talk to you later. Keep me updated, man. enjoy the rest of your Sunday.